Okay, well, we are going to jump right in and get started. I'm Rachel. I'm the owner of Nurturing Nannies here in Minnesota, and we are speaking with Brittany Joy Drew today. She is International Nanny Association 2025 Nanny of the Year. She's also a certified newborn care specialist, professional nanny, and holistic sleep consultant, as well as the founder of the United Nanny Society and Interstellar Nannies, a nationwide domestic staffing agency. And she's also got over 12 years of experience and is a strong industry advocate and leader. So thank you for being here. And with
Of
that, I'm just going to
course.
kind of let you take it over.
Awesome. So today we're going to talk about resumes and how to stand out with families. I didn't prepare a lot of slides because I know a lot of people submitted a bunch of questions, so I'm kind of going to go through them. I'll show my resume a little bit, and like Rachel mentioned, if you have questions, you can pop them in the chat or raise your hand and ask too. It really doesn't matter to me. Flexible, whichever you like. But I know the biggest thing a lot of people talk about is when you're not using an agency, when you are on those Facebook groups, or you are using like something like a care.com, or I think what Sitter City or Nanny Lane, other things like that. I mean, there's so many now, of how to stand out. And one of the biggest things is it also is going to depend on the family. You're not going to please everyone. Some people like the really long, drawn out messages. Some people like the short messages. So it's kind of best to kind of do an in between. And you also can take a look at what they post. If their post is really long and drawn out, you might want to do a little bit longer of a message because that kind of means that they like things more detailed. If they have a really short post, then maybe you want to do a little bit short because they're kind of looking for just things that are, boom, boom, boom right there. I think it's usually best to not just write under there, oh, I messaged you, because there might not get to it. It might be 5 people down. It could be 30 people down. I like to post a little something on the comment of like, hey, I'm whatever. I'm a certified newborn care specialist. Here's a link to, I have a website, my website, or sometimes I use like my Google business page with a link to this. And to review, I'd love to chat with you. And then if I don't hear something within like probably 24, 48 hours, I'll message and be like, hey, I'm just following up, that kind of stuff. Um, as a nanny, it's a little bit more difficult because you usually don't have a website to post on there. But you can make one. So I made one back when I was a nanny. It was like the free version of like a Wix website that had like a link to my resume, some reviews from families on it, some pictures of crafts I did with kids, and families ate it up. It was probably something like, it was super simple. It was, I don't know if I have access to it anymore, honestly, I would show you. Very simple, but families love it. Like, oh, that's so unique. Like, no one has that. And they could see all this stuff right there. Of course, they want an actual resume as well. So I was sending that to them too, but it was just something fun and cute that they could see. Some people do a portfolio as well, where they send, that kind of concept of a website, but in a portfolio, as like a PDF that they can share a link to. I have like a Google Drive, or not Google Drive, like a OneDrive folder that I share. It has only my resume in it, but I share that. If I wanted to put other things in there, I could, but it's linked that way. So it really just kind of depends on the family, what they're looking for. As far as like those one page, like cutesy things, I know a lot of people do those. It's gonna depend on the person. For me, they annoy me. I don't like them. I don't think they represent the person really well, but some people love them and they think it shows the people really well. So I think it's all about how you put it together and how and what you're putting on it. So you're going to want to put things, and you don't need a list like you're CPR certified. You don't need a list that like you can drive. Like, you want things that are make you stand out that not most people have. I know here in Pennsylvania we have like clearances, and people always like, I have my clearances. I was like, that's just a standard. That's just one more thing a family has to read. I was like, you don't need to put that. Put something else in that line that makes you stand out. So pick things that are different. So if you're in a city that has, let's say, I don't know, so I can't think of the top of my head, but has something that everyone has in your city. Like, don't be putting that on there. Like, you can put it at the very bottom, maybe it's small, like it's small, but you want to put things that do set you out, that are different, on those things. And then I would make it professional. A lot of people put like the really cutesy ones, and like, yeah, they're cute, but they're just not super professional. So if you're going to do a one-page thing that is your thing on Facebook, or you're putting in comments, make sure it's professional. Not one with those like, I don't know, they are like the clip art type, like baby building blocks or something in baby bottles. Like that's just not professional. It looks cute. It's adorable, don't get me wrong, but you want something that's going to show the families that this is your career. And that's kind of where that's my personal opinion. I know many people vary on what they like, and some people are like, no, I love those things. But it's just going to depend on also what your personality is. Your personality needs to shine through on those things. So if that's something you do like to do, like crafts, like my website, I had a lot of crafts on there, which some people will see as not professional, but I'm like, that's something I like to do, like those hand crafts and those feet crafts. I do all the time. So yeah, it just kind of depends on those. And then yeah, that's kind of the Facebook stuff. It is hard to stand out on Facebook. It's very difficult to stand out on there, especially when there's so many and the groups are so big. One tip I always tell people is, and I give away now my secret of things, but make sure you're deleting your previous posts. So you don't want someone to click your name and see you've posted every single month for the past 2 years looking for a job. Unless, of course, like you're an NCS where things change. But go delete those previous posts. That way people don't think you're looking for a job all the time, because it's kind of just a red flag. And there could be very, normal reasons of why that's going on. But people do click the name. I especially do, and look to see what you've posted, look to see what you've commented on, to kind of do that little bit of vetting right there. So definitely make sure you're deleting them and not just posting the same cookie cutter thing every single time. And same with your comments, and same with the notes you put in like the messenger. Don't be sending a super long, 5-paragraph thing that's just copy and pasted to every single family. No one wants to read through all that in a Facebook message. Send something that just shows a little bit about you. I think like care.com limits your characters, and like while it's frustrating, it's also great because you're not having to read through a whole bunch of stuff. Save that for your resume and just kind of do a couple of highlights or express why you're interested in it. Write something actually personal and be like, hey, I saw your post. I really loved that you, some people like, they all eat all organic food. I really love that you eat all organic foods. So do I. I would love to do that with your children, blah, 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 blah. So pick something out from their post to put in there so they know you're not just copy and pasting, because there's definitely people that you can tell just sit there and copy and paste. And then it's just like, okay, you're not even trying. You didn't even look. Why am I going to spend my time on you if you didn't spend the time to send me a message? So you can make things a little bit more personal too. Yeah, does anyone have any questions about the Facebook stuff at all? I think someone wrote in the comments. Yeah, Facebook page to share. And LinkedIn. LinkedIn's a new one. I haven't used LinkedIn a lot. I saw some people use LinkedIn. I haven't yet. I actually was thinking about this the other day of trying to start to. I think it's one of those social media things I forget exists, except for like once a month. And I'm like, oh yeah, this exists. Let me go look at this. Yeah, so definitely would be interested in like the LinkedIn stuff. I assume it's the same type of concept as Facebook. You know, be posting things. I know you can put like the open for work on your profile and go look at things, but it might be a little bit harder to find jobs from a family on there, but you might be able to find more from like agencies on there. Especially if you're making those connections, you probably could find more jobs from agencies that don't post on Facebook. Like I know some bigger agencies that have a huge pool don't post a lot on Facebook. Even like Adventure Nannies, they only post their jobs, I think, once on Facebook. And even then, I feel like they don't even need to. Like they have enough people. I feel like they just do to do. So you probably can find a lot more because you'll do posts on LinkedIn a lot more of those jobs versus like a Facebook. So that could be a good option to utilize as well. On LinkedIn, I don't know how about direct messaging. I don't know if people direct message on LinkedIn a lot. I would say maybe message them and look them up and then email their agency versus messaging on LinkedIn. That could be a better option. Same with any other agency through Facebook. I would just email them, or like me, I'm like always just text me versus messaging on Facebook because I don't look at it a lot. So if you want an answer, you need to text me. But yeah, that could be a good option for agencies. Any other questions about Facebook stuff? No? Okay. A couple other things. I was going to kind of show my resume now and go through a couple of things. Let me share my screen. Hopefully it works now. I did earlier. Yay. Okay, perfect. Can you see the resume, Rachel?
Awesome. Yeah, we can see it.
So when it comes to resumes, There's a lot of, it depends. I'll put it that way. Some people like certain things, some people like others. So it really is just going to depend on the agency and depend on the person, and the family. So like for me, I don't really care about cover letters. I it doesn't matter to me. I'm like, I'd rather talk to you in an interview than read a letter of why you want to be a nanny. I'd rather hear you speak it because anyone can write anything, especially with AI nowadays. You could just type in ChatGPT, give me a cover letter, and here it is. Why am I reading that? But then some agencies are like, or families are like, I want a cover letter. I want to know. I want something written out. So if you do write a cover letter, if they do require it, just make sure it's personable. If you are putting it in like an AI thing, make sure you're rewriting it in your own words or just using the AI to like clean up your grammar or, maybe just kind of fix your sentences, something like that. But don't just say, write a cover letter and then put that in because they will know. We do know. I use AI a lot, so I know how and the things to look at for it. It's a great tool if you use it correctly. So just use it for like grammar and stuff like that, or get ideas. You can use it for ideas as well. But yeah, I would say depends on the family, depends on the agency if they want a cover letter. Like I said, I don't, I don't see a point. I don't know, Rachel, do you require cover letters? Yeah,
No, we don't. I'm the
yeah,
same.
yeah. I don't see a. I just want to talk to you. I'd rather talk to you. So it just kind of depends. And same with resumes. So you will have the agencies and families that want a one page show on there. They don't want something like this that lists every single family they've been. They just want something that says, the highlights, that is resume style, not like the Facebook one page, but resume style, but just isn't listing every single family. So you may have a good idea to have one of those on hand, but then also have an extensive one, especially when you're getting into NCS work and those types of things are like higher profile where you're doing a lot more. Like these family descriptions. Can you see my cursor on here or no? When I move it?
I don't think so, no.
Oh, dang it. Okay.
Oh, wait, I can.
Oh,
But
you
then,
can?
yes, I can.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Yep.
So like when you see these things for families, sometimes they're really long, especially if you are a hybrid role. Like some of mine like are pretty long, so I've done things. I am one of the people where I don't like bullet points. I just don't like it on a resume. I think it looks choppy. I think it doesn't, you lose a lot of usable space. There's like if these were bullet points, I would only be able to fit maybe 3 of these sentences on there. I wouldn't be able to showcase everything that was in that job, but even then I still can't because I don't want to make it super long. So kind of do bullet points with care because you lose a lot of space. But some agencies like bullet points. There's no standard, which is hard. So everything I say is like that's what I like or what someone else could like, but others couldn't. I don't see many people liking the bullet points. It's just kind of choppy. I think it looks more professional to have something like this. I'm a very detailed person, so mine's probably a little bit more detailed than it need it to be, but I like everything on there. It's just my OCD personality. So kind of depends. But the other big thing in resumes that's controversial is your picture. I like to put my picture on there. I don't know. I know some people don't for discrimination, but my kind of view is if they're going to discriminate off your picture, they're going to discriminate once you talk to them. So you might as well get it out of the way now. As that's not right and it's wrong. And as an agency, I very highly tell families like if you discriminate, like you're done with us, like I'm canceling your contract. When you're doing it on your own, in my point of view, I'd rather not waste my time. Especially because like I have a very small piercing, but I know some people don't want any piercings at all. You can't really see it in my picture, but I do make it clear that I do have piercings. That kind of stuff. It just depends. So if you have, or you do have, some don't color their hair, some people don't like it. I would put your picture on there. You don't have to, but I get the whole point of discrimination, but at the same time, they're going to discriminate you and they see you on Zoom anyway. So you don't want to waste your time setting it up. But I also use it as my agency for verification of who you are. So I ask for like a photo when you put your uh, like application in to verify it's you. Some families do that as well. They want to make sure it's the same person consistently. That way they're not getting catfish or anything like that. But I like to put that. This was just, I don't know, look kind of cute. My thing is made in Canva. I took a resume and then I like kind of changed it and tweaked it. kind of fit my personality. I would say pick a color scheme. No one wants a black and white resume. It looks boring. Pick a color scheme. I like blue. My agency is purple and blue. So I do blue for my NCS stuff. It's my shirt. It's my NCS shirt. I pick blue and I roll with blue. So a lot of my stuff is all blue. You don't need a bunch of colors and it'd be like super rainbowy unless that's your personality. But a black and white resume, it's just kind of boring and doesn't stick out. So I like to do a little bit about me. And then I have some skills on here and then my languages that I have. I haven't figured out a way if I want these on every single page or not. It's still something I toy with, but I like it. I do have a lot of pages, so I do number my pages. You have a lot of pages, you might want to number your pages in case they get printed out or you're sending like screenshots to people. So, but I have just a general section for newborn care of what I do overnight, and then it lists the families. Like I said, some people don't want the full list. I like to put the whole list on there. I haven't made a one-page resume yet. I probably should because I know some agencies require just the one page. And then when it comes to your nanny experience, general, like I said, I always put the age of when they started, what I was, like this family is my current family, I was their NCS turned nanny, and then kind of what I did, and they're about to have a baby soon, so I'll put on there like, oh, help mom transition to 2 children. And I always put why it ended. So this is also another controversy. Some people say you don't need to. I like to put it on there because a lot of the positions like weren't my fault they ended, or like I do a lot of temp positions or like a year position because I moved around a lot or the family moved, or like this one was just a temporary role. So put why it ended. I don't think it hurts to. Some people are like, it's no one else's business. I think that's kind of up to the personal preference. Obviously, if you got fired for something bad, probably don't want to put that on there, but you're probably not putting that family on your resume anyway. But I would put why it ended. It just kind of is nice to see, especially when you're like me who does break up jobs a lot and takes a lot of temp roles. Why you're taking a lot of temp roles when families do want long term. If you have a long term family, usually you age out, so it's not hard to put. Or especially nowadays with this whole daycare stuff, people are just like, my kids go to daycare now. Like, put on there, oh, well, we ended because the child got into daycare. That was one of my positions, actually. Like, he went to daycare. So I didn't end because of anything bad, or like it wasn't short term because of you. It was cut short because of the daycare. I put all mine on there. You don't have to. Again, I want everything on there type of person. So I like it. I think people can read as much or as little as they want as far as it. And I do go back all the way down. I do have other experience on here that's more of administrative with kids, like summer camps and stuff. But that's because I do apply to more of like family assistant or household manager roles. So like while I haven't held like one of those full time, this shows some of that. Or like other roles I'm doing. If it's a highly like scheduled role or families that really want things like organized, put in place. I'm like, look, I've had these, I've done this, like I've managed employees, like I know how to do these. So your other experience in like daycares or camps aren't necessarily needed on your resume unless you're trying to show, hey, I've managed, this many kids. I've managed other employees, I did scheduling, I did this. You can put that on there, but otherwise you don't need other types of experience on there. And my education. So I do break it up in NCS and Nanny because they are two different sides of the industry, and I like families to see which are which. So I break up my newborn care stuff and my nanny stuff, and I do whenever I ended. I do put my in progress stuff. Sadly, my sleep has been in progress for a while now, but get to it eventually. Like halfway done. But I had to put it in progress because like you do have some of that knowledge that you're doing. And then I just put, what it was, when I got it, and then the company it's from. You probably don't need the company it's from. Most people don't really care in the moment about the company for your resume. They more want a certificate afterwards. Again, I want everything on here person, but you probably could get rid of the company on like just the resume and get the certificates later on. If you do a portfolio, like a full-on like portfolio, I'd put the companies in there, but you'd also probably put your certificates in there as well. So education, and then my certifications and credentials. So these are like your cash certification or stuff like that, your actual certifications, not your trainings. Eventually I'll have my, certification for my sleep consultant stuff, or I have, me as Nannies do, I have my professional childcare and newborn and my e-learning facilitator. So these are your certifications or credentials. I believe the only credentials are going to be from the INA in this industry. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's just the INA exams are the credentials. The rest are certifications. But they had the nanny ones, and then the NCS credentials. It's like that exam you can take. And then I did my regular exams. So as part of the INA, you can take the basic skills exams each year. And get a score on those, and it'll actually give you a certificate, which is really nice. I require it for all of my people on my agency roster as well. I have a subscription with my agency that they take it to. I take them as well every year to show your score. And like it's really cool. They're not anything super hard. They're basic, but getting 100 on it's kind of cool. Be like, I got 100 on this exam. It's just one more thing to show families that you are serious about this career, is having these exams and making sure you're doing them and making sure you're keeping up, because they do change yearly. I think this year's is the same as last year's actually, but usually like 23 and 24 were different. I assume they're changing it next year though, because it's been the same for 2 years. But like keeping up with those exams and that you have are gaining knowledge, because they do change. So things can be updated that you're taking them. Then I have all my trainings per usual. I would list anything and everything you have. I mean, I have stuff that I did in 2013, but it's important and it's there. List all your trainings. I like to do conferences. I feel like it's good. Some families care about conferences and like training days. One thing with training days that is a little difficult, it depends on where you go. So some training days have just a certificate with your name that you went. I know mine, when I hosted last year, I made sure I put the topics of each speaker on the certificate. So when a family sees it, they know what was discussed. So if you do a training day, I would suggest that you, if you're doing a portfolio, print that out, and then on the back, write what the topics were. And if you want to, 1 to 2 sentences about what you learned during them or what was talked about. Same thing if you want to do something to give families, if they ask what it was, have a paper ready of like, this is what was talked about this one, because each training day is different. Everything is different at them. You can do the same for like the bigger conferences, but those are usually online and available of what they were talked about at them. But for the training day, since it's so widely different from every single city and every single state and every single country, I would just have something that tells you like what you talked about, because it might come in handy. So like for this training day in Atlanta, we did one about like learning through play. And we did one about children with special circumstances who aren't necessarily autistic, but they might need more help. So if you're going to interview for a family that has a child like that, you're like, oh, I went to training day, here's my certificate, and one of the talks was this. So while families aren't going to know what that is, they're not going to really care. But if you make them care, if you say, hey, I have this and I learned this here, then it's a really good tool and asset to have. Because yeah, most families don't know what training day is. Most families don't care. They like whatever. But if you can tell them, hey, you should care because I did this, I have this knowledge, those other candidates didn't go. They don't have that knowledge. That's something that you can bring. And that's what a lot of these are. Like people are like, oh, why does the concussion protocol training matter? My child's 2. I was like, a 2-year-old can still get a concussion. They like to climb. They're going to climb on that couch. They're going to fall down, and you're going to want to know if it's a concussion or not. So it's important. Like all of your trainings, that's for anything on your resume. You have to make the families understand why it's important. And that's what you can do in your calls with them, in your interviews. And they say, what makes you stand out or what makes you fit for this role? I would go through and be like, oh, well, I have this, I have this. Like with my child abuse prevention, I'm not expecting a family to need to do that with them, but I'm like, hey, your kid goes to camps, your kid goes to school. I know the signs to look for these if something happens there when none of us have our eyes on them. So that helps like families like, oh, I didn't think about that. Like, I didn't think that was important to have mandated reporting training. I'm like, yeah, because they go to other places that we don't know what's going on when they're there, when none of us have eyes on them. So when they come in the car, I can say, oh, these are some things I saw. Let's check this out, which helps. And families like, oh, okay, that is actually really important. I didn't think a nanny would need that. I'm like, yeah, we do, because we interact with everyone else with them. So there's just things like that. And then my webinars, I know INA has some. I've done some through AFNA. Other people like this would be a webinar. Not that this will be on a resume, but if you had one that was child related, you could do that. And put them on there. These usually don't give certificates for, so I would just keep a log of what they were. And if you have a link to like the description of them, you can screenshot it and maybe put it on like a document file if families ever ask. It's not a bad thing if it fits on there. I think I might be getting rid of mine because I'm running out of space. If you can't tell, it's 5 pages completely full. So, as it is, I have a version where I need space because I ran out because I added families to it. So it doesn't have to be on there. It can. Same with these background checks. They don't have to be on there. I do. I like to put, because I am someone that likes to travel with families, I like to put I have a passport. I like to put that I have my global entry, because that's a plus for some families that they don't have to go through and get it and they can just enter the country really easily. As well as you've had those extra background checks. In Pennsylvania, like I mentioned, we do the child abuse clearances. I don't need those on there. Everyone has them, but I'm a person that likes everything, so it's there. Like I mentioned, though, I'm probably getting rid of these webinars and background checks because I need space. And then your special circumstances experience, I put these on there. I've had a lot of experience with various children, adoptive children, surrogate children, foster children. You can read them all, a bunch. But I like to put it on there to showcase, what I've had experience with. I do like to call them special circumstances versus special needs. I don't know, special needs just feels weird to me. That's just a me thing, though, not a everyone thing. But my special circumstances, so there's a lot on there. I went through it very quickly, but that's kind of my resume. So it really just depends. I think the biggest takeaways from a resume in itself is just going to be your detail, making it look professional and making it look nice. I have so many people that apply from Indeed that just use the Indeed, like it creates the resume and it just prints it out and that's the upload. I'm like, I don't need, like, no, I don't. That's not great. Um, People, like, you don't need a whole list of all of the things and your skills. Like, I have a couple that are relevant, but like even so, like I don't need that. Like I don't need this pain. I just do because I like it. But you don't need a whole paragraph where it's just this comma list of 40 different skills that Indeed says you have. Um, Not in this career, not in other careers. Yeah, you needed. Or if you're doing household management or family assistant, then yes, you'd want stuff that displays, how to use certain systems or whatever. But for a nanny, you can kind of put that in your about me if it's something that you have a high skill for. Everyone applying to a high job is going to have infant skill. It's going to have the child skill. If it's a family that has a particular, like I have on mine, like I've done G tubes. They have a G tube tile. Yeah, okay, you probably should put that on there. Like I have experience with G tubes because that sets you apart from others that don't. It's like a unique skill. Most people have experience with ADHD kids. Most people have experience with some sort of behavior, like anxiety, stuff like that. I have like hearing impaired. That's something that's not normal. Or feeding aversion disorder. That is a crazy disorder, might I add. Very first Nanny family had that one, both their kids, but that's one most people don't have. So if you have a child that has that, it's good to display. But I like to put it on here. But yeah, you don't need a whole like list of like you're good at childcare, you're good at keeping on task, you're good at time management, like that. Those are all just skills you should have as a nanny. They aren't anything different. So if you're going to put skills, make sure they're different. Yeah, those are my hot takes on my resume. I know they don't vary for every agency and they vary for what everyone says, but I don't like the bullet points. I like the descriptions and I like to list everything. So it just depends too. It also depends on the agency. Like I said, some of them want more on there, some of them don't. A lot of us use engine hire, so you have to copy and paste there anyway. Like I have you upload your resume, but like I don't show families that. There's not too many bad ones. So I just have you copy and paste into my system so it looks like uniform. But I do look at your resume to be able to say, oh, I do want to interview or I don't. But for families, they don't have that luxury. You're sending a resume, so I'll definitely work on it. I use mine in Canva. There's the free version of Canva. I don't know how the templates are on the free version for resumes. I had the paid version, but I'm sure there's a bunch, and you don't have to just use theirs. You can tweak it. Like mine, I think I combined like two different ones into one resume, so it didn't look just cookie cutter. If you are going to take just the template and not change it, I suggest you go to page like 5 or 6 so you don't everyone has the same one because they're probably all going to that very first one. Go a few pages in and pick one that way. And just remember when you're looking at templates, you can change the color. So look at the layout that you like and then you can change the color to fit your personality. Yeah, anything for the resume parts? Oh, we got a lot
Yeah,
of
there are a
chats.
couple. Just a couple chats in here from Christina. So Christina, feel free to chime in too. The first question she had was, how do you show on your resume that you changed roles within the same family?
So I did that, where'd it go? Let me share and get it back. So many buttons to press. Get there. So I have that in my current family right now. So I'll zoom in so you can see it. So I put, I want to, can you guys read that? Is it big enough to read?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, I had put initially provided newborn care specialist support, then transition to nanny role to ensure continuity of care. So I put part-time NCS and nanny. So that's how I did that one. If you're doing something like nanny transition to family assistant or into household manager, you can do the same thing as well. Initially provided only nanny care, transitioned into a hybrid role, due to families increasing needs as child's aged or something like that. But yeah, I would just show it as one because you're the same position there. If you're going back and forth, like you started, you left and came back, I would probably put it as two separate items because they're probably two very different roles. But if it's just a continuation on, like I have for this family, I just kind of put that line of I transitioned with them.
Perfect. Yeah, I do the same thing. And then she wants to know how long is too long? Hers is also very long.
So I've had people tell me they have like 9 pages um of a resume. Mine is 5. I'm probably adding a 6th soon. I think it just depends. I know there's some agents, like I said, they only want one, maybe two. Some families don't want to look through it all. So that's a hard question because it really is going to depend on the agency and the family. I like long resumes. If you send me my agency a 10-page resume, I will read probably every single word of it, and go through it all. But some families don't. So I would just be prepared if you do have a longer resume, maybe make a short one, especially if you're going through Facebook with families where you're not quite sure. You can go and make a long one and a short one and give them both and say, here's a link to my full in-depth resume. Here's a link to a summary resume. Let me know if you have questions on either one. And then if you want to be a little like scientific about it when you do an interview with them, say, oh, which one did you prefer? Did you prefer the long or short one? And kind of just see how many families are each one to know where to go. But if you're worried that it's too long, I would make a summary one that doesn't detail everything and just give them both and let families have the option of picking one or the other. Yeah, I don't think anything's
Yeah,
too
I
long.
would.
But
Yeah, I'm the same way. I read everything. And I think I would say the majority of families probably do too, especially when it comes to like experience and things like that.
yeah,
And then she wants to know how far back you recommend going on employment history,
again,
maybe
that
for that
varies.
summary, if
Yeah,
she's doing the
so
summary one.
for the summary page, I would say it depends. If you're doing NCS work, maybe like the past 2 years, maybe year and a half, because you usually have a bunch of families. If you're more nannying, I would say maybe 3 roles, four, 3 or 4 roles. I don't think it's necessarily a timeline. I think it's a number of roles, and you can also make a comment of, more, um, like more family or what's what I'm looking for, like more experience available or something, or additional information available on more experience, something like that. I'll have to think about that wording.
Yeah.
But you can put like a little asterisk of like, I have more to show if you want it. But yeah, I would say NCS maybe a year and a half, 2 years, and then 3 or 4 roles for nannying. Yeah, and then US Nanny Assistant has certifications. Yeah, so that's where mine are from, my certifications. I have all of them. I have the nanny one, the infant newborn one, and the e-facilitator, and then they have the other ones too, where you apply for your hours, for your certifications for those for nannying and infant care. I didn't do those though. I did mine through cash, but you have those too. Yeah. Any other questions about the resume part? Cool. Let me get my question list of everything. Let's see. Certifications help you stand out. So CPR is definitely a big one. That's kind of just a standard though. Make sure though that you do the infant one as well if you're working with infants, because it is different. And also make sure that the one you take is going to be one that has like the Heimlich on it and stuff like that for choking. I know some do, some don't. It depends on the company. So make sure you have both on there. Another one I like, yeah, is the water safety. It's free. The couple other ones I like I said is the midday reporting. People don't think it's a thing, but I really like it because again, especially with kids that are doing daycare and camps and school and this and that, or even like households that have, you know, a staff on there, like you want to see those signs and symptoms and know how to report them in your state. Every state should have one that you can do. I know Georgia's is on Pro Solutions. I know PA's is through Penn State. Not sure about other states, but it should be a quick, easy Google that you can do. And I think that's just super important. Even if a family doesn't care about it, I think it's just important for you and your career to do. So you know how to report those things and those signs and symptoms of child abuse in case anything happens with a kid anywhere. It also will help protect you too as well, so no one thinks it's from you. Other things that are really big, I like the concussion protocol one. It's free, it's online. That one's really big, especially with these older kids that are like, you know, elementary, middle school that are doing a lot of sports. Especially nowadays, while all those coaches are trained in concussions, you never know who the coach is, and that coach might, you know, be caught up doing something else with the team and not see it. So you're going to want to make sure you have that for those kids that are really heavy into sports, especially those high contact sports, like jujitsu or karate or football, even soccer, stuff like that, and especially like ice hockey up here in PA. Those things, gymnastics, cheerleading, I know there's a bunch of other sports, but like things, horseback riding, I think is big down south. So like a bunch of the things, sports that you have in the area, most of them can get concussions. So that's really important to know. And I think it's really good that you can bring up in an interview. But like I said, a lot of your certifications are going to have to come up in an interview. You're going to have to tell families about them. They're either not going to look at your resume or they're going to look at it, not understand. So when they ask a question, you be like, oh, well, I have this for this instance. Oh, your child is 6. Oh, he loves karate. Oh, well, I have, you know, concussion protocol training in case something happens. That way I can make sure I know those signs and symptoms and be able to pull him out of class and get him the correct diagnosis at the doctors. And I know how to follow those protocols. It's going to be all about how you present yourself. Any certification, it could be something as silly as like, I use like this silly joke of like, you can take underwater basket weaving in college. Cool, get that certification for nannying. You can go into an interview and be like, oh yeah, I took underwater basket weaving. It's really good because I was able to multitask between holding my breath and doing a basket at the same time. Like, just bring it up. It's how you present that certification to make it look important. Pro Solutions is a company that has a bunch of low cost trainings. It depends on your state what they have. So when you sign up for Pro Solutions, you'll sign up per your state, and it's going to show most of the time the trainings are like similar. They have like transportation, safety, whatever. It depends on what's free and what's not free, dependent on your state. And also because Pro Solutions is used a lot for your continuing education credits for like your what's it called? Like your elementary ed or teaching certification in most states. So you have to just kind of keep track of like that state. I have an account with them for multiple states because different states have different things I want that are free. So I can get them. You can do that as well, make new emails. But like Georgia's transportation safety is free. PA's is not. So it just kind of varies on what you want. But they have some good ones. I know from the Georgia one, they have like a social and emotional class for children. They have like an outdoor play one. They have their own safe sleep. There's a safe sleep that's free online from the actual Comfort Kids for Cribs, which is a good one with infants as well. But yeah, they have a bunch of trainings that you can do. And yeah, I would play around with it and just sign up for different states to get the free ones. Don't tell anyone I said that, but you can because it doesn't really matter what state's from. As long as you're not trying to get those continued education credits for teaching, it doesn't really matter at all. Those ones are good. I have not found a Montessori training. That's one of the other things Montessori that honestly I would love to take one. If anyone knows of one, please call me and tell me because I would love to take a Montessori training. I love Montessori, but I just haven't found like a training that I know is actually legit in the actual Montessori teachings. I would say needing to know actual Montessori teachings probably isn't in many families. It's probably more in those higher profile families where you are actually doing some type of curriculum with them versus a preschool. Um, that's when you're going to need the actual trainings of like Waldorf or the REI or the Montessori, stuff like that. Versus like you can just say, you know about Montessori, you've read XYZ books, and those will come out in an interview, not necessarily on a resume. Or same with stuff like the schedules for infants. I always do a combo of like wake windows and moms on call. So I just say that's my knowledge. I understand, this is and this. I modify by combining them this and this way for routines and scheduling is kind of how I approach my NCS stuff. So I don't actually have a training in wake windows and in moms on call, but I read the books. So I kind of just say that knowledge in the interview that I have them, but it's not represented on my resume. Same with the Montessori. I would just do that and really explain. And the biggest thing is just remember that Montessori does not mean wood toys. My statement on that. But I love Montessori. And then as far as NCS, it's going to really depend on your market and also what you want to do in your career. So there's two ways that NCS benefits you. One, you want to be an NCS. You want to work overnights. You want to specialize in infants. NCS is specialized in 0 to 1 year, but more so like 0 to 16-ish weeks is usually the main bulk of what we know, but we are like trained and certified through a full year. And that's like what your LLC and your insurance covers is caring for kids up to 1 year, which is why my current family, I turned nanny because she was going to turn 1 soon. So I was like, you want to stay with me? I was like, we got to go to nanny route, aged out of the NCS work. So it depends on what you want to do. So most NCS work is going to be night times and overnights. There are many daytime NCSs, don't get me wrong, there's many daytime NCSs, but they're harder to find because they usually just have a nanny. And if your goal is to just daytime NCS, I don't know if it's quite worth it to get an NCS because usually they end up turning into a nanny anyway, just from what the parents not understanding. If you are wanting to do a lot of temp work with infants, or like I know some people that specialize in being that person until kids go to daycare. So like they have their NCS because they are literally working only with infants. So they are doing the infant NCS stuff until they, crawl and go to daycare, and then they have a next family, the next child, and they are there till they crawl and go to daycare. So the NCS is beneficial for them because they are doing that stuff for that younger age group. But if your plan is to just be a nanny, unless again you're like a high profile family that really wants that training, it's not going to be super worth it unless you want to specialize in infants. If you want to do overnights like an NCS, definitely worth it. Just going to depend on your area of how easy it is to get a job at night. I would suggest you start night nannying and see if it's something you like to do. It takes a very special person to do overnights. It's hard sometimes. It's frustrating sometimes. My partner can attest to that. I come home sometimes and he's like, whoa, okay, had a rough night. I'm like, yes, I did, but I gotta go to work during the day now. It's also really hard to be an NCS and have that be your income because it is such short-term contracts. Like right now, as great as my resume is, I am not booked past mid-September because no one's reached out yet. No one is like everyone's either pregnant now or it's for the end of the year. So I'm like panicking slightly, but so that's why I still have my day job. So it's kind of hard to go into that right away unless you are in a city where there is a plethora. I happen to be in a city where there's a bunch of doulas and people prefer doulas over NCSs. So for me, it's a little bit difficult. It's changing slightly, but it's a process. I also have a friend here though that she's booked out, I think, till next March. So it really just depends on them. But yeah, NCS is good for overnights. And then I do both because again, I can't survive off my night income yet, hopefully. I've been in this city now for about a year. So I'm hoping by a year and a half now, hopefully by my year mark next year, I'll be just in NCS work maybe. Who knows? I love my nanny family though. I don't think I can ever say no to them. I don't want to leave them. But they're too cute. I've been with the little one since she was 4 months old. She's 15 months now. So Yeah, NCS depends. I like newborn care solutions. That's where my training is from. I also have the newborn infant care from the U.S. Nanny Association, or no, not U.S. Nanny, the U.S. Nanny Institute, which U.S. Nanny Association like certifies from. The only thing when it comes to your trainings is you want to pick a company, one that aligns with what you want. So schedule a call with them. Schedule a call. Be like, hey, I'm interested in your company. Can we schedule a Zoom call? I think almost all of them will. Ask questions. Ask questions about teaching style. So that's something I've learned with my sleep consultant is, well, I love the course and the course aligns greatly with me and I would not have changed my choice. I didn't realize it's a course where you read everything. It's not taught to you. You just read and then take a test. My ADHD does not like reading on a computer screen, so that's why it's taking me so long. So it would be nice to know up front. I still would have picked it, but ask different questions. I know Newborn Care Solutions is like a video you replay, but they're actually talking to you. It's not just like words on a screen. You have a workbook you can buy to like write notes in with it that has the slides, which I liked. It's also nice because you can like kind of do other things at the same time. But I like companies, and I always tell people to pick a company where the company that you're training through does not also certify you. It's a conflict of interest in my book, and it's a huge debate. So I know people will come at me for that, but it's a very big debate in the industry of can a company that trains you also certify you? There are no regulations in the US, there are no legalities over it. So, yes, in the US, they can. I will say, as an agency, I do not recognize certifications that come from the same company you trained with. I do require them to be an outside company to be considered US certified NCS or postpartum doula. I don't think it's as much in the doula world. It's the same company. I think a lot of them are different. I'm not sure though on that. Don't quote me on that. But I think it's important because it's a big conflict of interest because why wouldn't they pass you? And if people start not passing, if they're certifying their own training people, there's nothing to make them change their course. Versus if it's an outside body and people aren't passing, then they're like, hey, you need to change your course and none of your students are passing our certification process. And then the company goes, okay, we will because we want to keep this, for our people to get certified through you. So it keeps the training company kind of accountable. Versus if it's your own, like I said, there is no accountability there. Not saying that they don't change it, not saying that I have experience or heard anything that they don't change it or people don't pass. I'm just saying from me as like a person looking in point blank, black and white, it's difficult and it's hard to kind of say, hey, do these people know or do they not? Are you just passing them? Are they the same type of things? I am someone that I would love to live overseas one day. So I prefer Newborn Care Solutions because I can be CASH certified because CASH is a worldwide organization. So if I do move overseas one day, I can say, hey, I'm a CASH certified newborn care specialist and I don't have to worry about doing a different training in a different country. I can just say I already am. Not all countries, they might have something different, but like I have something from a worldwide organization says I'm trained. Same with my nanny stuff. So you can get your CASH certification through the U.S. Nanny Association from taking the U.S. Nanny Institute's professional nanny course. You get your CASH level 4 child care provider. So I have that as well. So I'm a CASH level 4 child care provider, like certified as well, which is nannying. So if you're wanting to do some kind of certification for nannying, I would do that. Again, most families don't know what it is. So you'll have to tell them and explain. I'm like, hey, my CASH certification is a worldwide organization. So the standards are set worldwide versus just from a company here in the US. So it's, more sought after because it is a worldwide organization with worldwide standards. So you can use that for nannying too as well. I forgot about that actually. Yeah, so you get that. So it was U.S. Nanny Institute, their professional nanny course. Then you go to the U.S. Nanny Association, and they give you your CASH level 4 childcare provider. And I don't quite remember, but I think it's they have so many levels with CASH. It's like level 6 is the equivalent to a bachelor's degree. So I think maybe level 4 is the equivalent of associate's degree, like level of education. I don't remember. You'd have to look it up. But yeah, what did Christina say? Oh, no, not for me. Yeah. It's hard. Overnights are hard. I love them. I'm someone that I love my sleep, but like as long as I get it, I'm good. It can be broken up, but I like NCS work. It also depends too with NCS stuff of what you like. I'm the kind of person where I like to teach parents. I like to tell them about their baby. So I had one dad. I literally walked in one day and he has the kid and he's like shaking, giving her to me. I'm like, it's okay. She's okay. And then he sat there with her diaper change, like slowly wiping. I'm like, buddy, we gotta wipe and be done. Let's go. But I like teaching parents. I like them texting me all day long. Like I have one family, they went on vacation this last week, and every morning I got a text of how the baby did at night. And I was like, yay, he did so good, or yay, this. Like I like teaching parents and giving parents that confidence. So this one in particular, this is her third child, and she was very like, oh, like I always like, rock them a bunch. I'm like, we just put him down, girl. Like this is what we can put him down. I was like, he's okay. We'll do this and this, and we'll put him down, and he'll get sleep on his own. And she's like, oh my gosh, I got so much confidence from you. Like, thank you so much. Like, that's what I like, as well as the infant care. So NCSs are really good to be able to teach those parents about baby. Or like my other client, they're teething right now. I'm like, okay, well, we can do this, we can, do that. And like, oh my gosh, I didn't know that. And I'm like, yeah, like it's, this and this. And like, I just like that teaching aspect too. You get a lot of that NCSs. Yes, you are, doing overnights with parents, but you're also someone to be there to teach them about baby. Even like I mentioned, my client is a third time mom. She's like, I already learned things from you, even as a third time mom. I'm like, I know. I was like, cool, awesome. That's my job. I'm glad. So if you like to teach and you like to empower parents, I would say NCS is a good way to go. And you can get days, but it's a lot of overnights. It just depends what you want to specialize in for it. But yeah, any question on NCS stuff? I don't know much about doula stuff. I want to one day, but I don't know a lot now, so I can't talk a lot about the doula stuff. No questions on NCS stuff? Okay. Let's see what the other questions are. So one of them was helping families prove your hourly rate, and then how do you compete against younger nannies who request the same hourly rate or more, but they are less qualified. So I would say when it comes to pay rate, you just need to, first of all, it's a hit or miss when it comes to pay rates. There's two ways to go about it. You either can tell your pay up front and say, if you can't meet this, okay, I'm not even talking to you. Or if they're on the fence, you could still say, oh, I'm within this range, and give a range that covers part of their range, talk to them, and then try to show your value to get higher. It's two different ways to do it. I usually kind of go more towards like, this is my rate, my starting rate, and we can talk if that meets that, because I do have a minimum that I won't go somewhere unless it's under, unless like I really needed a job. But when it comes to standing out, especially against newer nannies, I would just say the ones that are asking for the same rate as you, it's pretty easy to stand out. You can say, hey, yeah, okay, they're, 5 years younger than me and asking for the same $30 an hour, but look at my resume. I have all this experience. I have this training. I have this. I have this. So you can sit there and be like, I'm asking for this hourly rate because of this, and kind of explain it to them. And if they say no, it's not within our budget, it's not within our budget. But the biggest important thing is to talk to them and really be like, hey, like this is what I'm bringing to the table. This is what I'm offering. This is what I do. This is what I show. So like when I'm applying, especially to NCS work, I always use I'm also a sleep consultant. I work best with families who want baby to sleep through the night holistically. I don't do cry it out. I don't let them sit there and cry forever. I let them fuss. They, of course, they cry for a couple minutes, but I'm not like, hey, we're going to leave them for an hour or two till they fall asleep. Like, that's not me. So I always tell families, I work best with families who want to holistically get their child to sleep for the night. And most of my kids do sleep the night by 16 weeks because I do it like a whole path. So I always tell families that, like, I come with that sleep consultant knowledge to explain to them. And that's why I picked the course I did, because I sit there and explain to families, hey, this is what's happening in their brain and this is what we're going to do. So I tell families in interviews, like, I have this knowledge, the course that I am taking, because no one knows what it is, because it's actually a UK course, a very expensive UK course, might I add. I think it's one of the most expensive sleep consultant courses, but I highly recommend it if you can read off a computer screen. It's difficult, but I love it. It has all the science of sleep consultant and goes into everything. And I'm like, I have this knowledge versus other people that have sleep consultant knowledge, because I'm learning every bit of apart about this baby's brain, and neurons and how it's working and how the sleep cycles work and everything, down to like the nitty gritty of, like, I can't remember what they were, I probably should, but like certain neurons that were touching and whatever. I'm not good at biology. I did physics, not biology, but stuff that I need to study for my test. But side note of that is I can bring all that knowledge to say, hey, your baby's waking up at 30 minutes. Cool, that's their sleep cycle and these kind of things. So I use that knowledge that I have to tell families in an interview my worth. So that when I say, hey, my starting rate is 38 an hour, they're like, oh, okay. But they also are like, oh, but you bring a lot to the table. So I do lose jobs. My rate's pretty high, especially for my area. But at the same time, I bring a bunch. There's only like 1 or 2 other NCSs in my city that have more experience than I do. And we kind of all work together anyway. So we pass something between us anyway. So like there's not, yeah, just standing out and explaining. And there's a fine line between over explaining and explaining, the question. So, and a lot of families will ask too, like, what makes you stand out, and explain those things. Don't be afraid to like toot your own horn and say, oh, well, this and well, this, I know this knowledge, those kind of things. And when it comes to nannying, as far as a lot of families have that issue of wanting more tasks for more money, I would remind them that, hey, I bring this knowledge to the table for these tasks for this rate, and like kind of firm with them. I'm like, just because the rate's higher doesn't mean that I do more. It's that I bring better knowledge for these same tasks. And that's also going to just kind of depend on where you're at looking for a job, because there may be times where you just need to take a job for the money and you're stuck doing more tasks. Excuse me, it's just going to depend on your situation and your market. Every market is completely different. Like, I've learned that greatly from Atlanta to PA, in Pittsburgh, because our cost of livings are, I think Atlanta's only like 1% higher, not even, than Pittsburgh, but like the market are 2 ends of the spectrum. It's crazy. So it depends on where you're at too. And that's what a lot of these families are. And you can go through and like look on those Facebook groups and look at what posts are getting the most comments, are getting the most likes, and look at them too to make sure it's not just like friends bumping, but like of people saying, oh, I'm interested or whatever like that, to see what they're putting on there. Like, do your own research and look at different pages. And it's going to vary your market. So look at your market pages of what's standing out to people. You also can look at like what is the best time for your market to post. I think like Atlanta's is like an awkward like Wednesday at like 10 or something on Instagram, but then like Monday nights or on Facebook or something like that. So like you can look at the timing too of when's best to post that most people are on in your city. I used Metrocall for that to schedule posts. You probably can make a free account, just look at the best times and not actually schedule anything. But I use that. Yeah. Do you want to go more do Q&A? Do you want me to keep going on questions? I know we're like hitting an hour. There's a lot of
Let's
questions
see if
here.
anybody's got questions. I think we can kind of wrap it up too.
So I tried to hit most of the questions. I think there's
Yeah,
only a
I think you
couple I
did
didn't get.
good. Yeah. I don't know if anybody's got more specific. I know Leah had asked a question earlier that you kind of covered, so I'll send her the replay. But if you want to touch base on that one too, she was just wondering
Oh yeah, the
about.
daycare one. Yeah, I
Hmm.
would just put on there and just make sure you put why it ended. That way it doesn't look bad you having all these short ones. So put like I showed on mine, like, oh, position ended because child's going to daycare. Just make sure you're putting why it ended on there. And like I mentioned, it's a controversy. Some people don't like that. I like it because then I'm knowing, okay, you're not having short positions just because like there's a reason why you're having short positions. Yeah. Any other questions? I know I talked a lot. Sorry.
Well, you're good.
I tried to hit the ball. Was there any major questions I think that people had that I didn't hit that you can think of? I think going to listen, I think I hit most of them.
Hmm. Yeah, you did good. Thank you.
I would say my only closing statement is just do things that are going to make your career better. Show families that this is your career and not just something you're doing. So attend the conferences, show that you're doing continuing education, show that you want to keep learning. And in an interview, explain, I like to do this. I want to learn more about this. I'm going to sign up for this course. Show them that this isn't just something that you're doing and you're just kind of stagnant in, that you want to keep growing. Most families want to see someone that's going to keep bettering themselves, because the better you are, the better their children are going to be because you're better. So keep bettering yourself for the families and for the children, and make sure they know that.
Great. Awesome. Well, thank you for your time and thanks
Of
for
course.
just answering and being so thorough on
Yeah.
everything.
And if anyone has any questions, like I said, my number and email is like everywhere online. Texting me is easier. Just find my number and text me. Just, yeah, I'm always there. Send me a text with a question. But yeah, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you. I
Of
will
course.
I'll put your information in the description as well too, so people have it.
Okay, sounds good.
Have a good
Thank you.
day. Thanks,
You
everyone.
too. Bye, everyone.